This will be a tutorial that describes Proctortrack, the proctoring software that is now built into my courses. Now, before one can use this, they're going to have to register their class with Proctortrack, so that will prevent imposters from taking quizzes. The instructor themselves are already essentially registered with Proctortrack. So once you pull it up, your class then will have to do what's called onboarding. I'm going to show you how to set up the onboarding interaction so that the students can basically register with Proctortrack when using their ID and showing it to a camera and then identifying that that is who they are. Now, after that happens, then the students will be able to log back into the next quiz, take the quiz using the setup that you have set in Proctortrack. And we'll talk about the Proctortrack settings as well. So what we're going to go through first is basically explaining how your class has to register, how you can set that up, and then what the settings look like. First thing I have to do is basically set up a quiz, and then within that quiz, what I'm going to do is enable Proctortrack from there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Activity and add Activity or Resource, and then I'm just going to go to a quiz. This isn't an actual quiz, it's just the way to get in there. So onboarding activity, and then what I would do here is I would then put in some notice here in terms of what they're going to need when they're getting in here. They're going to need to have a little bit of time on their hands, and then what they're going to need to do is they're going to need to have an identification with them. I would put that information here in the description. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here to timing. Okay, so I'm going to set this up so it's live all day long, and I'm going to take it till 23:55, and I can say there's a time limit, and I'm going to make it 30 minutes for my onboarding activity. Come down here to extra restrictions on attempts, and then from there I'm going to put in a password, and the password's got to be something I'm going to remember, but it's not something you can use the same one every time. So I'm just going to put in 092121, and then I'm going to come down here and I'm going to say enable Proctortrack for this quiz. At this point in time, when I come up here and I save and return to course, and I would probably display my description on the course page for the students so they see what it says, and that would be that they need to be prepared for this. Now, as an instructor, when I go back to this quiz, as always, it will then ask me to put in a question. So I'm just going to put in a random question. It doesn't matter. I just need to finish that step so that when the students get to it, it's going to automatically open the Proctortrack dashboard, as it will when you go back to it. At this point in time, I can climb back out. For an instructor, what will happen is if I come back to this, it's actually going to give me my dashboard for Proctortrack. If I were a student and I click into this, it would give me the login information and what I need to know and do in order to log on. So after I click into dashboard, if I have this interface, I need to go to the upper right hand corner and click the dashboard icon there to see the instructor dashboard, which will give you the settings. Now here you'll see there is onboard activity. It has the same access code. You will always be able to see the access code when you log in yourself. However, the students won't see that, yet they will need to copy that, and they'll be given sort of an ellipsis of sorts where they have to copy these dots that stand for the access code and then paste it into the quiz to activate it. So if I go here and I click that, it'll allow me to go to configuration. The settings are fairly complicated, but once you read through them, it will be evident what they do. You'll notice that there's identity verification settings, there are test settings, there are student settings, and then what URLs or apps may be prohibited. But we're not going to go through all that today, but like I said, this, as you read through it, does become fairly self-evident. And if I want to go back to my dashboard, I just go here. If I want to see the student interface, I come up here and I click View as Student. Now what this is going to show me is exactly what a student sees on their side. And when the student gets here, they're going to want to go to test. So when a student hits go to test, what they will see initially as they start the onboarding process is basically what you've set up. So they can scroll down and they'll see all of the settings that you have in place. And then they'll just hit next at the bottom of this. Their directions are pretty good on this. I'll point out that they need to go to the bottom of it and say, I have read and understood this. And then they're going to be asked to download Proctortrack the first time. So they'll open that, and it'll run it automatically if they've already downloaded it. Otherwise, they'll have to download it. If they choose not to keep it, they'll have to download it each time. It's not a very time-consuming process. But once that is downloaded and they walk through those steps, they'll be prompted to do the ID steps, which we're not going to be going through now. But once they've done that, and you've set this up, then they will all onboard, and this might take a couple of days for them to all be approved. So this has to be done in advance, but once you do that, you are ready to start using Proctortrack, and I know that feels like a lot. But we're here to support you on the whole thing, so you have a great day, and as you start moving forward with this, touch base with us and we can work with you individually. Thanks so much.